Next week, with the game being on Saturday, is it going to be kind of a regular game week where you practice roughly the same? Or?
Actually, well, because we're going to travel down Monday, which would be a normal off day. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are going to be the same like we would do for a normal game. So we're getting about 3 days of good work here. And then, like I say, travel Monday.
Is any of this week game prep, or is this all developed?
Good amount of it's game prep, focused on Florida. A lot of reps for guys, but yeah, quite a bit of prep.
With their roster in such disarray, it seems like a bunch of guys in the transfer portal. Are you guys looking more at just what they do as opposed to who's going to play?
Yeah, I mean, schematics for sure. We do that either way. How they're, offensively, defensively, special teams, their schemes. We don't see dramatic changes going into a bowl game, so we're focused on that. They got some good players, and so we know they're going to be talent on the field for those guys.
How do you prep for a quarterback that you probably don't have any film on?
Well, yeah, you got a little background on where he's from. Again, going back to they do what they do it well. They got good players to make explosive plays. They can run the game, create a lot of issues for you defensively with their motion, some of their formations. So we got a lot to prepare for.
Anybody else out for the bowl game, or it's still just Ray? Yeah, just Ray John.
Yeah, Ray and Luke currently.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Luke, what were the conversations between you and him like that you can share? But making his decision to go pro.
Yeah, we totally support him. He was great for us, and it's a tough break having the injury early in the year, and then as it got later in the year, the better decision. So he'll be at the game, which will be fun to see him and support his guys. But we thank him for everything he did.
Knowing that you had a lot of players that decided to come back because they felt like there was unfinished business because of how the bowl game went last year, just how have you seen a different preparation from some of the guys that did decide to make that decision come back this year?
Yeah, I think the focus is there. They know it was painful to lose a game at the end of the year like that, so always learning from it. Got great leadership. A lot of guys have been around it. And even today's practice, I thought we were pretty focused in.
Anything different that you're doing this year that you may not done last year, or?
Again, it's similar in regards to it's an earlier game. These guys are finishing finals this week, so we didn't practice a bunch this week. We did last time, but again, we're preparing, but similar to last year.
Speaking on that Florida quarterback situation, do you think after last year in the bowl game, having a relatively unknown backup come in, is that a little bit of healthy respect from the guys last year?
Well, yeah, that's a good learning lesson. Like I said, prepare for anything. They're going to have good players out there that can operate that offense and make plays, and guide guys to throw it to. The O-line's good. So they know it's going to be a big challenge.
And what have you kind of seen from Florida that impresses you kind of so far early on?
All three phases: physical, athletic, play really hard, schematically challenge you on really both sides. So a big challenge.
I know we asked you last week just about the SEC. We got kind of cut off when you were in the car, but just sorry. Oh, you're good. Just how is their that style of play a little bit different than maybe some of the West Coast guys that you've been recruiting?
Well, it shows up on tape that, again, the athleticism, the physicality, it's all over the tape. Really, you're watching Florida, but the opponent, it's a good brand of football. So they got our utmost respect.
Speaking of
the 10 wins, what does that mean to the players to have that kind of opportunity?
Yeah, it's big, and they want to take advantage of it. Obviously, we're going to have to go earn it and play really well to do it. But we've set a stage to be able to get to 10 wins, and that's a pretty good season.
Jonathan, what do you think this could do for the program, just as far as like having, you're playing a big-time opponent with a ton of football history with the chance to get 10 wins? Like, do you think that can overall just help the exposure of the program?
Yep. Add to the momentum, the exposure of the program. Obviously want to finish and send these seniors out the right way, so it can mean a lot.
With all of the all-conference guys who were named this week, 19 guys is obviously pretty remarkable. What do you think that says about player development, recruiting, where you've kind of elevated that as far as, going into year 5?
It was an impressive number. There's no question. We got a lot of good players that have been working hard. All three phases represented on the thing. And so, look, we felt like we had a good team with a lot of good players. I think even there's a few guys that weren't even on that list that were deserving. So really proud of that group.
If you're Florida, looking at your team now, the way your team finished, what were some things that would worry you about playing in this bowl game?
Well, I think when you look at us offensively, obviously you got to stop the run. We're going to try to run the ball and make it one-dimensional. And so looking at that defensively, aggressive style of play, trying to take advantage of that. again, they're good coaches over there. Got a lot of time to look at us, and so we got to be ready to play.
And speaking of that running game and that offensive line, is Jake going to be available? You get a little dinged up at the end of the year.
Yeah, currently I think we're headed toward a lot of everyone really good to go.
Well, Isaiah, how satisfying was it in the game against Oregon to find the end zone after 3 years of waiting your turn?
Yeah, it was real fun, but you know what I'm saying, I can't do what I can do without the O-line. So they made a really big hole, and I saw the line and the end zone, and I'm saying just try to get in the end zone for my team, man.
I feel like those touchdowns kind of represented just the trust the process that this team has just been emphasizing all season. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we talk about it. Coach talks about it. Next man up, trust the process, like you said, and like you said, I've been here for 3 years, and I don't see myself. Hold on, bro. Here we start over, man. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be.
We won't bite it, we promise.
I'm sorry.
We're just talking football.
Right.
My camera died, so you're in a way better place than
Oh, okay. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
So, how do you feel like those 2 touchdowns in that game, such a big game, how did those represent kind of what you've had to believe in those 3 years here when it is your opportunity to go and make big plays, that you're ready?
Right. So like you said, trust the process, and that's what I've been doing for 3 years, man. Coming here, head down, work. All these guys work, and I got a good room. I got 8 guys who come in here and work all the time, so it's easier for me to come in here and put my head down and work with them. So.
Isaiah, take us inside the locker room. What's the mood of the team right now, and is there definitely like a ownership from the group to want to perform better in the bowl game this year compared to last season?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we have an emphasis on 10 wins, and saying everybody's really hungry for that 10th win, and we got to beat Florida to get that 10th win. And you can see, like, even today in practice, we're got to get the cobwebs out a little bit, but everybody's super hungry, playing fast, and ready to go get after it.
How much fun has it been to be a part of a running back group that has had so much success, not only this year, but in years past?
Right, yeah, no, man, playing running back here has probably been the best experience. I mean, I probably can speak for the whole group. It's one of the best experience I've had. You got so much talent come in. I mean, my freshman year, head guy was Jamar. Last year was BJ, and then this year we just have a whole bunch of guys who can go out there and make plays. So it's been really fun. It's been really fun, and I'm blessed.
Knowing that last bowl game that you guys had didn't exactly go your way, what kind of momentum have you seen this team build into this year's bowl game, knowing it's your chance?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, just come out hungry. Everybody flying around at practice, locked in on the details, locked in on what we need to do, locked into the film, especially it starts in meetings. So I think that's what we need to do.
Isaiah, just talk about the opportunity to play a program as historically great as Florida, and what that win could mean for you guys, just for the program, and obviously as a little kind of feather in y'all's caps.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like you said, historically, what'd you say, historically, right?
Good, just how good of a program Florida is,
right,
and what it would mean to get the win.
So, I mean, a win against Florida, I mean, for us, I mean, that's 10 wins, and then they've been a storied program for a long time, so that'd be pretty cool to get a win. But we know we got to come out and play our best football. They're not going to lay down and give it to us, and we're more than prepared to do that.
A lot of people talk about SEC football. After this game, what do you want them to say about Oregon State football?
I mean, we bring physicality to the table for sure. I mean, I feel like that's the big thing in the SEC is physicality, but we're gonna be physical too, and we know our assignments, we know what to do, and yeah.
How much do you guys pay attention to the guys at Florida in terms of a bunch of them are leaving, and you don't really know who's going to be playing?
Right.
Do you pay much attention to that?
No, whoever lines up out there is who we have to go beat, and we focus on us for the most part, so we don't really worry about whatever they got going on.
Well, I was going to ask because there's fans that are out there saying, "Well, Oregon State deserves to play a quote unquote, better." You guys don't care, do you? Who's out there? You don't care.
It could be whoever, and we still got to go out and execute and do our job, and like I said, be physical, and that's what we'll do every day, week in and week out.
All about unhappiness with the way last season ended. How happy are you to get another opportunity to go out with a bowl game?
Very grateful, especially to get that 10th win. That's a big opportunity for us, and I think we've learned a lot from that last season, so just coming in with that focused mindset that maybe we didn't have last year, I think that's going to do leaps and bounds for us in the bowl game.
Were you disappointed at all that none of the offensive linemen got first team in the Pac-12?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, that's the goal, of course, to be the best. But I mean, if that's not how they view it, then all we can do is get better for next year.
Kind of piggybacking off that first question, just have you kind of seen just around the locker room a bunch of guys that kind of are like, we're going to get this done this year, this kind of a thing?
I think, I mean, just in this season in general, like that focused mindset has just been much improved from past seasons, you know. So I think everyone knows, like, we're coming down there, like, it'll be a good time, but we're down there for one reason.
Where are you at in terms of deciding whether you'll come back or not for next year?
I'm 100%. I'll be back.
You'll be back
for next year, yeah.
When you guys say, I know you guys talk a lot about film, but when you watch film, like what percent is it you watching yourselves and what percent is it watching and preparing for the opponent?
So mostly it's preparing for the next opponent. You know, after a game, we go back, review, see what we need to clean up and stuff like that. But after that, we flush the last week. That's over with. On to the next one. It's all about the next opponent.
With the bowl being kind of different in terms you have a lot more time to prepare and, you know, a lot of players for Florida not participating in this year's bowl, does that change anything at all for you guys? Or
No, not at all. We're watching the film, watching the schemes, seeing the guys that are still there. We're seeing how they play and then doing our stuff. Yeah.
Isaiah talked about, you know, you guys wanting to establish your physicality against a team from the SEC, which obviously the conference is known for its physicality. As an offensive lineman, how much has that kind of been a point of pride for you this year, is your physicality?
I mean, that's the best part about playing O-line is being able to be physical, impose your will on people. So, I mean, that's a big emphasis for us, and I'm pretty sure for most O-linemen if they're doing it right.
What does it mean to be the most versatile player in college football to you?
Gosh, I mean, even just having that award, I think, is something that definitely means a lot. And since I came aware of it, I think it was last year, you know, it's something I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to have. It's not something I, like, meaningfully really tried to get, and it's like that's where all my focus and attention was. I just really stuck to a process, and those are the results that came out, and I'm just fortunate it was that way.
Jack, just kind of continuing on that, to speak about yourself for just a moment. Like, have you got a chance to see who some of the previous award winners have been on that list, and just kind of where your name ranks with some pretty darn good football players?
I did see some of the players, because Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, those guys, and they're all really great players, and to be able to be in that category is, you know, it's really an honor.
You guys are going to be spending a week in Las Vegas, obviously, for a bunch of 20 and 22-year-old guys. Well, 24 with you, I guess.
Okay, let's go easy there.
What's that going to be like, I guess, for I mean, Las Vegas is a little different than, I don't know, pretty much every other town that you guys would visit.
Well, it's different than Corvallis, that's for sure, but, I mean, we got a lot of mature guys, so they should be able to handle themselves, you know. I can only speak for myself, but I mean, we'll be fine. It'll be a good time, though.
What do you think? What were players talking about when you guys got when you heard you were going to Vegas?
Really is well, for me, I was like, that's the ball ultimately I wanted. You know, I want to play an SEC team, and I think, you know, the timing, the location of everything, and ultimately before the season, my dad's like, I need to see you play in Vegas, and yeah, I know he meant the Pac-12 championship for that, but yeah. This is another good venue and a great stadium we get to play in. So.
What are the emotions going to be like, given that, you know, this is going to be the last time you suit up for Oregon State?
Gosh, you really had to bring that up, man. I don't even know. I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen or how you feel until you really, like, hit it. Like, the Oregon game especially, is like, I didn't really understand, like, what the emotions were going to be like until you actually get out there. And, you know, there's a lot of emotion for a lot of the seniors, and we played with a lot of emotion, so I'm assuming it'll be somewhat similar.
Jack, kind of inside the locker room right now, is there a big motivation from the team to perform better in the bowl game this year than obviously last year?
Oh, absolutely. And we are all about finishing everything and doing it the right way. And when you go down there and you invest all this time and energy, obviously you want to win. So that's our goal.
Why do you think last year unfolded like it did? And what do you feel like would change in this situation?
I mean, to change what we did is obviously has to be the maturity of our group and the preparation we do and take before the game. But, you know, when we get to Vegas, ultimately it's like we got to have some time to enjoy ourselves, but you have to be able to differentiate the two between when you need to focus up, lock in, and put in the work, and then when you can relax and enjoy yourself. And if we're able to do that better than we did last year, then we're going to have the result we want.
Was there a little bit too much enjoying yourself last year?
I mean, I haven't really analyzed it too much, but if it had to be something, that probably was a factor.
Have you, obviously, Floor's been in the news because they've had a lot of guys transfer out. Do you guys care who shows up on the field there on next Saturday?
Ultimately, it doesn't matter, but even for them, it's Florida. They got a lot of talent, and the next guy up isn't going to be that big of a drop-off from the guy playing before. So it's going to be a 4-quarter game.
Knowing the kind of culture that you've been able to build since you started here at Oregon State, what are you hoping that people see after this last bowl game?
Ultimately, we're willing to do whatever it takes to be successful and win, and we've established that culture, and it really started in January, and the players and the teammates we have around. So, yeah.
You've been part of this change in this program over the last 5 years. What is Coach Smith and the staff, what is different about where this team is at than when you got to Corvallis?
Really, it's the buy-in from the players, and that's something. He brought in guys that were going to be bought into the system, that were going to stick through it with hard times and work their butts off to get to where they wanted to be, not just personally, but as a team. And when you have that mindset and philosophy over time, you get more and more of those people, and then it just starts to become contagious. And obviously, it begins to affect the results we have. So,
was there a point where you could feel the culture changing, even if maybe the scoreboard wasn't changing, but the team was starting to feel like a different kind of team?
Gosh, what a year. I mean, I'd have to probably say during the COVID years somewhat to some degree, and it's like losing started to mean more to us. It wasn't just like, oh, we lost, whatever, let's, pack our bags and leave. It started to mean a lot more in 2020, and then carrying on to 2021. That's when you really started to feel the culture shift in a big way.
You said especially, though, in January. Was there something that sparked something inside this team after that bowl loss last year?
I don't think it was necessarily that, more so the fact that we knew how talented we were, and we have the opportunity to do something great, so we're going to go and pursue that.
Looking back at the season just a little bit, the way that a couple of those games ended, the Fresno State game, the Stanford game, did that lead to a feeling that this could be a special year, maybe a little bit of a rabbit foot in your pocket kind of situation?
Well, it's nice to get the results we wanted, but we knew the season we were going to have as soon as we walked into fall camp, and you could just feel that with the energy. We knew we were going to have a big season, and we just went out and did it.